Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Infinite Frontier Grifter. And after this figure was announced, y'all, I was frothing at the mouth to get this in my collection. And when I saw it, I was like, yeah, hold that thing. I am on my way. And like jumping jack flash, I was on it to go grab this figure. Speaking of which, if you want to pick up Grifter, I would say please, first and foremost, support your local comic shop and see if they've got it in stock. If not, it is available on Big Bad Toy Store and Dorkside Toys at the time of this recording. If you don't have a local comic shop, I did find this one at GameStop. So as you see here, we got Grifter there, DC Multiverse, Grifter there, 22 points, McFarlane Toys. Come around, side window, come around to the back, and because there's no figures from the wave, it just has a really kind of vanilla pose of Grifter, but still really cool with the lighting there. Come around this side, again, name on the peg, Infinite Frontier there, nothing on the bottom, window on the top. So with that said, let's get this awesome figure out of the packaging and get a closer look at him. Here's Grifter out of the packaging, and as you can see, Cole Cash just looks so awesome on the Batman motorcycle. This thing is kind of a pain in the ass to put other figures on. They just trying to get them on the handlebar. That's a whole other review. But as you can see, getting him on that bike and giving him some sort of gun other than the stupid swords and a freaking gun ban. Anyway, beautiful figure as you can see, and you can do a lot with him. He's actually very super posable, and as you can see, very beautiful looking figure. So let's get him off the spinner and get a more in-depth look. We've already gone over Cole's initial origin story from Image Comics when we did the Playmates figure, so I'll make sure to leave the card somewhere up here so you can click it at your convenience. As for this iteration, from what I understand is after the 50 issues of the Image Comics run, it was canceled, and that's when Wildstorm was bought out under DC Comics. And the new series came out in 1999, and from what I understand is it deals with the lives of the original members after the team's breakup following a failed mission in which Zealot apparently died. Cole left the team, and then everyone else kind of eventually tapered off after that. I flicked through some of the issues, and I was not a fan of this run. It was really boring for me. You know, I may be wrong. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know what I missed down in the comments. And then also his power set and his origins, you know, they were revamped during the New 52, and they were kind of all over the place from what I understand of having the ability to sense and hear thoughts of Daemonites, which really completely, voids out Voodoo's contribution to the team. Now for me, after Rebirth, was when Grifter appeared in Batman number 101 from December of 2020. He's a bodyguard for Lucius Fox, and he's fighting Batman, and I just got so excited because it was like the best of both worlds. And what's cool is especially after Batman's done talking to Lucius, Cole's outside, he says, no hard feelings. Just think of it as sparring. And Bats tells Grifter, I want you to send a message to your boss. Tell him I know what Halo is. Tell him it may be changing, but this is still my city, and I'm watching. I was hoping to see more, because right there in just that one page, Batman talks about Halo Industries and Cole, which means that this is, and it makes me wonder if Halo's in Gotham. That would be the bee's knees. Anyway, letting that go in the geekness of that. This Grifter figure is based on the appearance during Infinite Frontier number 0 from May of 2021. And just like with Batman, he's a bodyguard for Lucius Fox. And they're talking about an attack, a Joker attack within Arkham Asylum. I kind of flicked through that first number 0 issue, and I had no desire to read this series. If anyone has any suggestions for reading after the Infinite Frontier tie-in for this Joker attack and then more appearances of Grifter, let me know, because I really would like to check them out, because I really have no ambition to want to go dig through story after story and then it be hit or miss. So with that said, let's talk about the accessories that this figure comes with. Of course, the stupid gun ban. So characters like Grifter, who's a marksman, is not allowed to have guns because of good old DC, because, well, whatever, it is what it is. He gets a really nice knife. I like that gold on the handle, hilt, whatever you want to call it, very nice. The serrated blade is a cool touch, especially with the hollowed out point there of the blade. That gunmetal silver, gray, whatever you want to call it, very nice touch there. Same can be said for his, I guess you would say sort of katana. I mean, it's a sword, but yeah, I'm starting to say like Jason Todd even got swords and knives, and it kills me because it's so out of character. Anyway, that gold hilt for the katana looks nice. The serration on the end of the blade looks good. Like that there's actual dings to show that it's been used quite a few times, and a little bit of like splotched paint, which would have been cool if they kind of did blood, but I bet you DC was like, oh my god, no, you can't do anything like that for collectors. That aside, the gunmetal gray on the blade, serrated, all the stuff you want to see on a weapon looks good. And of course, the obligatory stand, which if you're going to put them on a shelf, looks good. Of course, it picks up fingerprints like crazy, so there's that. Last thing he comes with is a trading card, so I'll make sure to throw up the card here so you can check out both the front and the back at your convenience. So now with that said, let's look at the paint apps. I'm glad that when they brought Grifter into the Rebirth era, I'm glad that even though, I will say, looking at this figure, this is one thing I want to get out of the way right now and then we'll continue. The militaristic jacket looks nice, don't get me wrong. You know, the greens look good. Zipper looks good. It folds the way a jacket should. Ripples to show that it's not, you know, the newest thing, that it's seen some action. But for me and Grifter, it's always going to be the trench coat. That was one thing that made the character. He has this very simplistic mask, this long flowing, what do you call it, trench coat. It just really added to it, and especially when he had all the pouches and stuff. That was me, but that was the 90s, so I can understand why they would go with the Kevlar vest for the upgraded version, especially since he was part of what was that team? Team 7. So you can show that he brings his military experience into the real world there. So nonetheless, but I wanted to address the coat, saying that I missed that trench coat, something fierce. Anyway, going back to what we were talking about, his mask has always been one of the most coolest, most simple designs. I don't know why it always seems like the more simple it is, the cooler it is. But yeah, the way it covers his face, always awesome. Dirty blonde hair, looks the way that Cole Cash is supposed to look. Like the way the collar of the jacket pops up around his neck. Looks good there. Kevlar, looks like Kevlar, and don't know if you can hear that, but I like that. It looks like it's supposed to be nylon or vinyl, whatever the mesh is made out of. Just a very nice attention to detail there. Belts, buckles, look great. This pocket's upside down, which no, it's not. Don't listen to me. I don't have enough coffee in me. But yeah, pouch looks cool. Cargo pants are neat. Brown looks good. Red gloves, awesome. I wish they would have given him a set of like punching hands, resting hands, and the gun hands, because you know, if you want to have him fight Batman, you're really going to have to hide that finger trigger. So it's just kind of like, damn it. It's probably one of my only frustrations about the figure in and of itself. That, and then of course the no weapon storage. I mean, you can kind of stuff this in his coat if you want, but it doesn't look natural. That works me so bad. Boots look good. Like the little bit of gray wash they did on there to just make them look like they're not new and that they're dirty. Great paint apps overall. And surprisingly, even though he has this coat, the articulation is not that bad. I mean, you can tilt his head, even with the mask coming down, you can get him down to look down about that much, which is not too bad. And again, I always say, please first and foremost, warm your figures up and then let them cool off before you do this so you don't risk breaking them. Because when they come right out of the packaging, a lot of times the paint may dry up in the joints, and that's why you'll get stiff figures, and it's really frustrating. And even with that back of the coat, he can look up that high, can look that far that way, that far that way, and there's a little bit of play so you can get a little bit of emotion into the head, which is always a welcome edition. It sort of rocks back and forth, but not too much. Arms go out that much. Spin 360. And of course, you can take the arm that way. Upper bicep swivel there. Double jointed elbows. Oh, thank God. Hand can go up. Hand can go down. Hand can spinny. Mine's a little tight still. I need to warm it up again, but you get the gist of that. He does have an ab crunch. Can go down about that much. And he also bends here. I think, yeah, because he has a rocker there, and then he can also go from the pivot. Twist here, twist there. Legs that way. Legs forward. Looking at you, Hasbro. Soft butt flap so you can go almost 90 degrees back. Double jointed knees, yes. And he does kind of have an upper thigh swivel. So I'm glad they hide it up here as where Hasbro just puts that line, which is kind of frustrating. So I'm glad that it hides up there in all of the stuff. Do need boot swivel though. I hate that we don't have that. Whatever. Foot go up, foot go down. Toe go up, toe go down, and a nice ankle rocker there. So pain apps, gorgeous. And surprisingly, for once, the articulation on this figure is not too bad. You get a really good range of motion. For comparisons, here's Cole next to his Playmates counterpart, which is still one of the figures I hold near and dear to my heart. Also comparing this figure, here is the McFarlane Toys Borderlands 3 Psycho and the Marvel Legends Sauron Build-A-Figure Wave X-Men Deadpool. And just looking at these two right here, we've come so far since, God, decades upon decades from the early 90s, where we thought this was just like the pinnacle of awesome action figures. And then we get this one. But I've said it, and I'll say it again. Miss the trench coat. That was very much a missed opportunity to go retro. And what I will say about McFarlane Toys, he may not be the best toy maker out there, but if you look at these two, look at the way that the clothes and the detail on the bodies just look so much more realistic compared to the Legends, where it just looks like almost everything on them is just hard body plastic, just painted on. As right here, that just looks more realistic if they just take the time. And what I appreciate personally about McFarlane is the fact that we get a detailed figures for retail store prices compared to you talk about like Mezco, Mafex, Hot Toys. I'm a collector on a budget. So being able to have some nice detailed figures like this for 20, 25 bucks, I can swing that just fine. And if you want to display these figures on a shelf, minus the Playmates one here, the other three, you do some depth of field trickery. You want to get a battle scene, you're going to be good to go. Same thing if you're like me, where you like to do action figure photography. However, if you want to use this Cole, you're really going to have to get creative, because I think he's only 5.5 inches tall. So good luck going up against 6.5 to 7 inch figures. But nonetheless, I love every single one of them that you see here. Let me know what you all think down in the comments. I absolutely love this figure. To me, having an updated Grifter is probably the next best thing since sliced bread. However, in saying that, there are a few things. The weapon ban, I think, is absolutely stupid. Because yes, Grifter has used knives and he is proficient with projectile, throwing projectile weapons. But he's a marksman. Come on. I do appreciate that Todd is doing the separate weapons, munitions thing, because it's not his choice, it's DC's, which is really dumb. But having to wait for the pre-order, blah, blah, blah. So if you have some extra weapons, you can go ahead and give it to him. That's one thing that chaps my hide. Second thing, okay, so we get a sword and we get a knife. No storage for it, like on his leg or anything like that. That's... it is what it is. And then for a personal, this is just my personal beef. I miss his long trench coat. I don't know, there was something about it in his original design that really made him cool. So, I mean, they had kind of gave him that militaristic jacket in the new comics. I get it. But the old school Grifter, there's just something about him that really pops compared to the more modern, sleek look. That aside, gorgeous figure. Love everything about it. Glad to finally have an updated version of Cole Cash. We have been needing it. Now that I'm hoping that because Wildstorm is part of DC Comics, that eventually Todd would do the rest of the team, which would make sense because him and Jim were the ones, or two of, was the 7 that created Image Comics. So I don't see why we couldn't get a Zealot, Spartan, Maul, Voodoo, Void, etc. And Warblade. Can't forget Warblade. So with that said, if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop. If you're a fan of the Wildcats like I am, this is one that definitely needs to be in your collection. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Wildcats roar bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will come to the channel, get notified, and we love to hear your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading. Photo slideshow coming up next, and happy hunting, true believers.